Welcome everybody, this is the ManCalledMegz taking you through another Paladins champion, and this time we are looking at Cassie. Cassie is a sharpshooter, which puts her in the same class as Kinessa, Victor and Ying, so you will be dealing damage from range with this particular champion. Without trying to turn this into a sexist thing, Cassie is a little bit squishy compared to some of the other characters that we've played with. Oh, that sounds really wrong. But really what I mean here is that she's got a lot less health because she's dealing damage from range. Cassie does that damage using her bow and arrow, and her primary ability is obviously firing a bow from an arrow. Yeah, kind of explains it all really. 375 damage a pop, which is pretty bad. Less than 1 second between each shot, with a fairly fast reload time, which makes this a very flexible skill for hunting down and tracking down enemies on low health, or for dealing large amounts of damage from distance. This is a left click ability, as you can see, firing 375 damage a pop. We're probably a little bit closer than you'd normally engage foes with, but this is about reasonable for seeing what we're doing. If you hold down the left mouse button, she will auto fire, so you don't have to click every single time. In fact, it doesn't do you anything faster by clicking the mouse button or holding it down. And as you can see, about 5 or 6 shots for most average champions. And we get onto the protector classes, you're not really going to be taking these on face to face. You want to be popping away from distance because it takes more than one full clip to get rid of them. I'd probably describe Cassie best as a mid-range champion. And by that I simply mean that she can't really do her damage straight across the map. That's about 300 yards is probably about as far away as you can possibly be before you start not being able to actually hit your target with any kind of accuracy. And here we can see right from the edge of the training room, even though the target suggests yellow and you might be able to hit it, you have to be just a little bit closer before you'll actually start being able to do that damage. So just creep a little bit closer, and we're probably about, I don't know, 350 meters or yards or whatever that's measured in. The other thing that you need to know about these abilities is, well, bullet time. Unlike a lot of the other weapons which fire almost instantaneously, there is a little bit of lag on the projectiles, so when you're dealing damage from distance, you just have to aim just a little bit ahead of where you expect your opponents to be to make sure that your shots land. Cassie's right-click ability is Disengage, firing a single shot which deals damage and also knockback on your opponent. So this is basically her version of crowd control. The text on the skill suggests that you can get a bonus damage if you hit players out of the air with a secondary shot after you've used Disengage. I don't ever seem to have been able to have triggered this in any of my testing, but it's in there. I guess it should be in there, so let's keep an eye out. Maybe it was just bugged when I was trying it. Since we're firing the same projectiles, we've got the same range limit with this ability. As you can see, aim, fire, and you get a hit back for the same amount of damage as usual. If you pop it just right, you can make the player jump very high in the air. Aiming down at the ground gives you obviously a better shot, and sometimes if you're very lucky you can knock them right back onto a ledge. Perfect for removing enemies who have camped themselves up on a ledge somewhere out of reach. Cassie's Q ability is Blast Shot. This is a different type of projectile altogether, so it has slightly different rules compared to the previous two, and this is the only AoE damage that she does in the game. So you can use it to fire it into a crowd of enemies to deal multiple damage, or you can fire it nearby an enemy just to try and distract them or deal a bit of damage when you can't get direct line of sight on them. So let's take a quick look at that ability. Again, press Q, fire the arrow, hits the target, 300 damage. I aim directly on all of these targets here, but you can take my word for it that if you hit it fairly close, it can't be wildly mass away. It's not a big area of effect, but you will do damage to surrounding enemies or enemies nearby. Cassie's F ability is the dodge roll, a quick roll in a specific direction which takes off any debuffs, which is very useful so that you don't get CC'd all the time, and afterwards gives you a bonus to your movement speeds. Also, the first shot after you've finished doing the roll gives you a 50% bonus damage. So again, if you're trying to run away from an enemy that's also on low health, you can roll, turn quickly, fire a shot, hopefully at them right behind you, and then dash off again, either having killed them or at least doing enough damage that makes them leave you alone. So let's see the dodge roll in action. Pressing F, dive forward. Yep, that's it folks. There's no massive animation, no special bits and pieces to go with it. You press F, you roll forward. You can roll and give yourself some kind of direction, but not very much. Let's see that bonus damage in action. Roll forward, fire your left mouse button, and you can see you get a big extra hit of damage. However, That doesn't actually apply to every single shot. It is only your left click. So with our right click for disengage or our Q ability, we get exactly the same amount of damage. Cassie's ultimate is quite an interesting one. Unlike a lot of the other champions, it doesn't really focus on damage dealing. Whilst Cassie does receive a 15% damage increase, the actual main thrust of the ability is to be able to reveal the enemies on the map. This might seem at first as a fairly paltry ability, but realistically being able to know exactly where your enemies are and that all of your allies know exactly where the enemies are is a massive help in any game. Being able to time those shots on an enemy coming around the corner, well, that's pretty devastating. So who is Cassie? Well, she's a mid-range fighter capable of dealing large amounts of damage from range in pretty much any scenario. Perfect for, well, pretty much any team. Just make sure you don't get too carried away and run into the thick of the action, otherwise your game will be over pretty quick. So that's it, folks. I've been the man called Megz. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe for more Paladins content, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.